Okay, welcome back. Good to see you again. Hopefully you had fun writing your second body paragraph. Today we're going to tackle our third body paragraph. So, if you go and you look at your blue essay structure sheet, we're going to be using the same structure: topic sentence, context, evidence, connect, go deeper, and repeat it. Context, evidence, connect, go deeper for your second piece of evidence. If you go back to your packet here, you will see that this tells us that we need to repeat these steps for all of our examples. And in writing the third body paragraph, we use the same structure as the first and second body paragraphs. So we look at this, and you'll notice again in this blue essay structure sheet that on the first side of it says that one transition you can use is first of all, secondly, finally. So our third body paragraph, we can go ahead and say finally. It's a very simple transition we can use. And we're going to go ahead and put in our topic sentence. Now the topic sentence, we want to go back up and look at our claim thesis and see what is our third body paragraph about. So our first body paragraph is about how darkness represents evil. Our second is about how the light stands for good. And this third one is going to be about how there are also symbols which are a mixture of both. So we go down here and we say something along the lines, you need to include the word symbols, okay, and you need to use the word mixture, and you should use the word both, and you should probably include some form of the word light and some form of the word dark. If you want to use synonyms, you can do that. So you need to come up with a topic sentence which says all those things. Okay? Then you're ready for your context, evidence, connect, go deeper. And you're going to do that again, context, evidence for your second piece of evidence, connect, go deeper. Now, sometimes when you write an essay, you might have 3 pieces of evidence. Sometimes you'll have 4 pieces of evidence. Sometimes you only have 1 piece of evidence. You just repeat this structure as many times as you need to do. All right, so let's go find our evidence in our packet, or where we have our quotes that we've pulled from the story. So we've got third body paragraph you see here. This is our first piece of evidence. We're going to take that, and we're going to put that right there with our first evidence. Let's go ahead and go get our second evidence as well. We're going to take that and put that in our second evidence there. All right, so after we have our topic sentence, we're ready for the context for our first piece of evidence. So I go back here and I look at my blue sheet where it gives me some sentence frames for context that I can use. And let's go ahead and try to do the in the beginning or the middle, end of the story, and right after, just before. So where does this take place in the story? I suggest that things aren't so simple, so black and white. Even the wickedest person can do good for somebody. The truly good man finds good where he can. When is this happening? If you go back in the story, this is when Wealhtheow and Hrothgar and Beowulf and Unferth are all talking about a specific thing. Do you remember what conversation they were having, which happens right before Beowulf says this? Are you thinking? All right. If you remember that that is the apples, it happens right as they're talking about the apples, then that means you can go use this beautiful, you can use this beautiful thing right here, okay? So you can take that, and you can put that as your context there, and you say, so we want to say this happens right after something, right? So you want to say right after, and then you want to fill in that blank of what happens right before this quote, because this quote is going to say comes right after what happened right before it. So you can fill that in. Then we go to our connect. Let's use one of these other things. So we really practice the clearly, and we practice the fact that in the first body paragraph, I don't know which ones you used in the second body paragraph. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose one. Let's go ahead with this demonstrates how. Okay, I'm going to put that in my connect right there. So I'm going to say this demonstrates how, and then I'm going to say my claim. I go back up here and I look at my claim. So something about how there's symbols which mix both good and evil. So I want to think of synonyms for mix. I want to think of synonyms for good and evil and dark and light. Okay. In fact, here we go. So this demonstrates how the novel has, and you say your claim because, and then you say what it is in here that shows symbols which have both dark and light. What is it in there? Okay. And then after you say what it is in here that shows there's both, then in your go deeper, you're saying, why is this important? Why is it important that people have both dark and light? Why is it important that Beowulf has both dark and light? What does Beowulf do with both his dark and light? How does that motivate him? What does he go? What happens later because of this ability he has to see both of these things? Okay, that's what your go deeper is. Then you'll come back and you'll do context for your second quote. So if you go back to our blue essay structure sheet, you could say, let's see here, let's try in the, we can use this one, okay. So go back here, and the raven now managed 3 ascending notes of great purity. Then it shook its wings as though casting off night forever. So where does this happen in the book? I would say that the beginning of the book is really about Grendel. The middle of the book is really about facing Grendel's mother. And the end of the book is really about facing the fire drake. This one happens just as Beowulf is leaving Denmark to go back home. So it's between the middle and the end. So you have to think about in the, I would probably say the middle of the story, or towards the end of the story, or just before the end of the story, or just after the middle of the story. Anything that indicates where it is. And then you could say story, or you could say legend, or you could say work, okay? And then remember, with context, you want to say what happened where. What happened where? So if you go back here, in this context, what's happening right here? Where is Beowulf and what is he doing? Okay. Then you'll go to connect. So we just did this demonstrates how. We can go back to our sentence frames, and let's go ahead and use this one. I haven't used this one yet, but I didn't write a second body paragraph. Maybe you used it. You can repeat these sometimes if you want, or if you want to try to come up with your own sentence frame, you can. And we put that in here, and we would say you can either choose the text or the excerpt, either one. The excerpt shows, and then you explain what's happening in here in the evidence, and then which means, and you show how that is proving your claim. In this case, the fact that there are symbols which are a mixture of both dark and light, representing evil and good. And then with your go deeper, again, you will talk about why is it important? How is it important that Beowulf recognizes this in the raven? How does it impact his life? How can it impact other people's lives as well if they think about this? Okay, so you could do two, 1 or 2, even 3 sentences if you wanted to, of go deeper, where you keep asking yourself, why is that important? What does that lead to? What's important about that? All right? That's how you do your third body paragraph. Of course, when you're all done, you want to make sure you do Control A, make sure everything is in the Arial font, and make sure it is 12-point font, and then it will all look good. Okay? And I will come back later on, and we will work on our conclusion, which is super exciting. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great day. It's fun to learn how to write and communicate and be logical. I love reading logical writing, and this is one structure that can help you to be logical. And as you get really good at it, then you'll be able to expand on it in your own way.